Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be continuing our little exploration of Palantir through this introduction to Palantir video. I did the first part in the last installment. The link will probably be somewhere in the cards right now. Today we're going to be looking a bit more about how to think about Palantir, and we're going to see he talk about Palantir as an infrastructure for analysis, and also a few things that you should not think of Palantir as. I think that's pretty important also to look at for this company. So yeah, I'm just gonna let him start, and hopefully I'll give my analysis at the end, or I'll probably break in halfway, and then we'll just see how it goes. So yeah.
So you might be wondering, what exactly is Palantir? What is the software? What do we do? And so if you can leave here today with sort of a one-sentence description of what exactly that is, I would hope that it's the following. Palantir is an infrastructure for analysis. And I'm using the word infrastructure very, very deliberately here, because Palantir...
Okay, so I know we just kind of started, but I feel like this aspect is super important to understand. So he starts by saying it's an infrastructure for analysis. So what he means by this is that it's really the backbone technology, the digital pipelines, and the substrate upon which all a company or your personal analytical functions and downstream applications can be built on. So just like in civil infrastructure, where you need pipes and sewage infrastructure in place before you can offer people toilets, in analytical infrastructure or context, you need digital pipelines to be in place so that data can flow and power machine learning, AI applications that depend on it. And this is also all while making the end result of these models useful to an end user, like we mentioned in the first video, and that whole concept of human-computer symbiosis. Another, just a little aside, is that the current problem faced by companies in the data context, I would say, is analogous to, this might be a bit out there, but it's analogous to the Great Stink in London in the 1800s, I think, maybe 1900s, not sure exactly. But the main problem was that the proper infrastructure was not in place to support evolving workflows, communities, and just the general expanding economy, which led to waste from factories, personal use, also to the river in London, the Thames, and thus contaminating water and the livelihoods of many people at the time. So similarly, at the moment, there's no digital infrastructure management in place for these companies. There's no meta tracking of data knowledge. Many workflows are built out. They're built out with no true infrastructure to see if the decisions being made are correct on a macro level. We are offering, so basically what's happening is we're offering the toilets without any plumbing. And there might be these mechanisms at a micro project level, but then that's it. There's limited and almost no visibility about how one project affects another. If you're working in the data context or familiar with the data context, you've probably heard of that Gartner report saying that 85% of data initiatives or digital transformation initiatives fail, and I believe this is largely why there's no proper infrastructure for data. Just to complete the analogy, where in the Great Stink, the consequences were illnesses and slowing down of output for the economy because of that, the Great Data Stink, let's call it, is leading to a lot of wide of the mark decisions and millions, if not billions, in damages to the public, whether it's instantly recognizable in terms of oil spills or part of a slow and undetectable death in production of waste or climate change. Production of waste, which accelerates climate change. So I would say that's kind of a understanding of what Palantir is trying to work towards. It's trying to connect all of these things so that you are not making the wrong decisions just based on your siloed data. Yeah, let him continue now.
Palantir is, among other things, not a visualization tool. And it's really, really easy for people to get that wrong in the beginning, because when you first see the system, when you first see the platform, that's what pops out at you. But the thing to remember is that the visualization and the graphical interface, they're just an interface. Like the steering wheel of a car, it's just a way of accessing all the great stuff the engineers have packed under the hood. Moreover, the interface that you see, the one that you'll see in a few minutes when I show you the demo, is just one interface, one way of getting at all that great work we're doing under the hood. So what I'm trying to say is that Palantir is not a closed environment. On the contrary, the platform is designed from the very beginning to be as open and accessible as possible. So what does that mean in practice? In practice, it means that we support open data formats, making it very easy to get your data from whatever format existed into and out of Palantir as needed. It means that we are designed to be interoperable with existing third-party applications and services that you already use in your enterprise. And it means that we support an open and public API, meaning that it's possible and easy for third parties to create new functionality, new applications within the platform. This actually functions a lot like applications for a smartphone. And finally, Palantir is not one database to rule them all. The idea here is not to come in and replace all of your existing investments in infrastructure with this new thing that will hopefully work. On the contrary, it's quite the opposite. The idea is to give you a platform that allows you and your analysts to make more and more effective use, to leverage all the existing infrastructure that you have in order to explore your data and to answer questions quickly.
Yeah, so what I really appreciate here is how he breaks down what Palantir is not. Especially because many people, when I first heard of Palantir and started researching, before I saw this video, I thought it was just a visualization tool, something similar to Tableau or Power BI. So this is useful to understand. And I think the best way to look at this and avoid overly complicating is by drawing analogies to Windows as an operating system, or even Mac OS, as you will. You wouldn't really look at those and go, oh, those are visualization tools, would you? So that's just what you see and what they are giving you, so to be able to access the underlying functions. It's just an interface. Microsoft had Windows, which was tailor-made for business, white-collar workers, and then over time, balanced out for personal use. Apple kind of started similarly, but more for personal computing and a strong emphasis on design and user-friendliness. So that was their take on an OS. Now Palantir, what they're doing is making an OS tailor-made for leveraging and manipulating big data in an efficient way for the company. So being able to quickly share and make available data and the applications across the entire organization. And this is an interface that seems a lot like visualizations, but it's just due to the nature of work, I think, that it looks like that. So yeah, and then he also talks about it not being closed. This just means it supports external file formats, including and definitely not limited to Excel, Word, PowerPoint, text, Python, MP4, PDF, JPEG, and probably also connects to other database-y platforms like Snowflake, other ERP systems like SAP, CRM systems like Salesforce, things like that. So you can read that data and write back as well, which is super powerful. But I'm not going to get into that today because that's really not the background for this video. And lastly, he just points out that this is not one database to rule them all. Here, what he means is just that Palantir is not a replacement for AWS, GCP, Azure, your on-premise data storage, the data storage on your employees' laptops where they work. What you bring Palantir in for is to be able to work on all that data in all these separate storage spaces that I mentioned, but just in one place. So all of that is stored in a way that's accessible easily to everyone in the organization. And I think that's really, again, very powerful because you are able to see your organization as actually a single entity and like all the things that make it. So that like I said, it's all the files, all the databases, everything in one place. And that's going to be super powerful in the coming years. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop it there for this video. It's definitely a shorter clip that we looked at, but I think it's super important to understand and leave out the misconceptions that you might have before we go ahead. So just let yourself take in what I've said, what he said, and just really understand that Palantir is not any of the smaller use cases, but it's rather the amalgamation of all of these to make a full-on OS that becomes useful because it's this whole that is working synchronously and really efficiently. The next video, I think, we'll go into the specifics of this infrastructure and the fundamentals of what makes this infrastructure, what is included. I think he talks about data integration. He talks about search and discovery. What is the other? The other two are knowledge management and collaboration. So those are the four functions and fundamentals that he will talk about. So I'll be breaking that down in the next video. Definitely also, yeah, leave comments. Just let me know if what I'm saying is clear, if it's making sense, what gaps am I not explaining. I've obviously been researching this company for 2 years now, so I don't really understand, I guess, what people don't understand. So it would be great to know if I'm just maybe skipping ahead in a few logical ways that, you know, if you don't have the background information, you're not understanding. So definitely the comments are super helpful for that. And yeah, I mean, I'll definitely try to reply to them. And if not, I'll try to make a separate video just answering questions. I think that'll be super important. Also helps me learn and helps me to better explain in the future. So yeah, all that to look forward to. Peace.